Backdoor doctor. That's porn.
Welcome to the Blue Banana Podcast. I am your sick and congested Sophie. With me, I have hopefully a less sick Manu and I hope you don't get sick Liam. How are you guys both doing today?
I am uncharacteristically healthy. I am not congested, not sick at all. I am usually the one who gets the most sick out of the three of us. So this is an interesting reversal we've got happening.
Manu somehow got me sick all the way from Japan.
We actually had to drop last week's episode because I was sick. I'm not sure how bad. Do you have fever and stuff? I hope not, because otherwise you should not be recording.
No, I don't have a fever. I do have a dull headache, which I hope doesn't get worse as the recording goes, but I guess you'll find out as we keep talking.
It's nothing that helps a headache like staring at a screen with headphones on.
Oh, headphones, lights, glaring.
I just like straight up lost my voice last week, and I tried not to work and take it easy, but I actually did the chapter review. It starts off really strong, and then like I think 6 or 7 minutes in, like my voice starts out and it's just like gradually gets worse.
Back in the day, I recorded a video while I was sick as well. My voice was fine, but my nose was blocked. I think it was a video on Marco. Everything just sounded like, hello and welcome to the Grand Review. But I did it anyway. People noticed.
You should have recorded a treble video. Put it on brand.
Welcome back to the most exquisite of the One Piece channels.
The latest video that I recorded it a few times because I wasn't happy with how I spoke in some of them. I got a lot of things wrong. Sometimes I get very pedantic about how I record, and audio is something that I've been trying to pay more attention to lately. So I recorded it a couple of times. That's when I started noticing that my throat was a bit sore, and I thought maybe it's because I've been, speaking non-stop. At this point, if every recording is like 20-30 minutes long, and I've done that a couple of times, it's like an hour, 2 hours, and I thought, okay, that's probably why I'm feeling not very well. And then I woke up, I was starting to feel like congested, like snotty, and I was like, no, I think I'm actually sick. It's not just the channel. But that is not what we are here to talk about today.
No, what? I was under the impression it would be.
Just gonna talk about sickness the entire
I
episode.
feel like we've done a lot of sick episodes over our run so far.
We have. It's become a reoccurring classic.
Yeah.
It's almost our, like another member of the Blue Banana team.
We just rotate the sickness every week.
I think we said we were going to have a prop banana that we rotate between the three of us.
Originally.
But what's happened instead is we rotate an illness.
The Rona.
You can start that. I actually have a prop banana with me. I had several, actually. I have a bunch of prop bananas.
It's a bunch more than me.
A bunch and one more than me too.
So you have -1 bananas?
Didn't we all get bananas at one point? What happened? Why am I the only one who still has them?
Yeah, but you got a real prop one, and I got a real banana and painted that one blue.
Which is what I did too.
Oh, that was ridiculous. No, I ordered like a 6-pack of bananas off Amazon. Plastic bananas.
Which is the smart thing to do.
Which was the smart thing to do, I think.
Did you eat your banana, Manu, after
No.
you painted it?
No, because I remember we threw it for some sort of prop and it exploded.
Fair enough. I think I did the same thing.
Oh, perfect. That's deco. That's the right decor. You can leave that in your normal videos for like subtle product placement.
I'm going to start a bet and say that banana is not going to last. It will fall off during the first recording.
I'll take that bet.
I'll take it as well. I reckon it can survive the first recording.
I'm more doubtful about the entire frame because I feel like that's been coming down a lot.
If it falls, that'll be why.
Exactly.
That or if I step too vigorously.
But if the frame falls, so does the banana. If the banana stays on top and stays somehow there whilst the entire frame falls off, is a bet that I wouldn't mind losing because that would be a very impressive feat.
That is magical, huh?
Legit magic.
Getting you guys back on track. That is not what we decided to talk about today. We said we were going to discuss Kill la Kill. And I do believe that the reason why we said we were going to discuss it is because of what we discussed in the last episode, clitoris recoil.
Does that count as a prop?
That absolutely counts as a prop for this episode. That is
I think so
perfectly
too.
on brand.
If I strip and start juggling my boobs, does that count as a prop?
That counts as cosplay.
That would be impressive, yes. Yeah, it does count.
Impressive. So, did you use the word juggle? That would be impressive.
Do you guys never juggle your breasts? Is that not a thing you do?
Occasionally.
Maybe if they're really massive, you can maybe juggle them so that they have like some velocity.
Juggle must not have been the best word to use, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. There are a lot of strange things that happen in Kill la Kill, and you know, I think one of its best strengths is that it is very campy and over the top and very ridiculous at a lot of the times. But something that always struck me as the most hilarious was whenever the girls change into their like sengetsu or whatever, their outfit, and they turn naked, their boobs start moving around like...
Jiggling.
Like, it's not just jiggling, it's like, it's rotating.
Which is satire on the whole magical girl thing. It's satire on the magical girl genre because that's what used to happen in Sailor Moon as well and stuff like that, but to a lesser extent. You would see like these naked outlines, there would be like a little bit of breast movement, and so Kill la Kill takes that to the next level. It's just like, yep.
Part of the transformation.
Yeah, it's great. It's hilarious.
Did you watch the whole thing?
No.
You're probably missing out on a lot of context.
I ended up having about, 3 weeks to watch the entire series.
Yeah, you had plenty of time. You could have gotten through this. It's only 24 episodes, I think.
I don't blame me, and I don't blame my business.
That is so
I
healthy.
blame the show.
That is.
I blame the show for not enticing me enough to continue until the full
Disagree. We're
season
gonna disagree
run.
on this.
You're speaking for the both of you.
Well, you and me, Sophie, are going to disagree. I don't speak for
Oh,
Mona,
right.
but I can tell you that we're going to disagree. Where did you get up to?
The last episode I watched was when I can't even remember her name now. It's been that long since I watched it. But I watched it up until when she starts fighting the 4 elites of the school.
Oh, that's pretty far, actually.
That's actually not that bad. Yeah.
So I watched a decent bit. I watched about halfway.
You got past one of my favorite episodes, which was when Mako becomes the Fight Club president and has to have that showdown with Ryuko at the end. I really love that one.
Oh yeah, that one was a funny one. That one was one of my favorite episodes, and the other one was when they had that school challenge where all the no stars have to get to school on time.
Oh yeah, the Don't Be Late challenge or whatever it was, I think. Yeah.
Yes, that one. I think the Don't Be Late episode, that one was my favorite one.
I mean, Mako and her entire family are also a real highlight always. Like, the
Always,
thing that
absolutely
I
always.
really enjoyed about the show is because, and I feel like, I mean, it's at the same time its biggest weakness and biggest strength because it kind of requires you to be a little bit patient with it. Because at the beginning, nothing makes sense. Like, nothing is explained. You're kind of like, oh, someone just drew this world that doesn't make any sense. And then, you know, it's got everything's over the top. Like, what the hell's going on? And you kind of need to watch a little bit until things start getting explained. And I was actually blown away how much stuff at the end actually makes sense.
Everything makes sense. It all connects. Like
And
a
I kind of
thread.
just expected it to be one of those anime where you just have to accept that like things are a bit weird and like there's this weird school and like no, it's all explained.
There's an
yeah.
explanation for literally all of the wacky stuff. But speaking of weird, Sophie, would you like to give a plot summary of Kill la Kill to anyone who hasn't seen it?
Okay, so Kill la Kill is an alternate universe where Rukia from Bleach is in a
Ooh.
different anime. You would disagree with my
I feel like
with
Rukia
my
is a bit
casting?
passive for Ryuko. I mean, in terms of looks, maybe.
character design. I just mean aesthetically.
Rukia with Renji's personality.
Yes, that's perfect. Rukia with Renji's personality enters this world where clothes define who you are, and it gives you a sense of strength, and the more that you bond with your clothes is actually maybe not the best way to put it, because the less clothing you actually have to bond with, but it defines your status, it defines your strength. Rukia is facing the challenge of who killed her father.
There's a mystery.
And as part of that mystery, she has one half of a giant sword.
Scissors.
It's a giant pair
Giant
of scissors.
scissors, sorry,
that she
giant
uses
scissors.
as a
Giant,
sword,
yes,
yeah.
that's what I meant.
Because in a world where clothes are everything, the ultimate weapon is scissors.
Snip, 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 snip.
Snip, snip. So it's interesting. I think you actually summed the premise of the show up quite perfectly. It takes some pretty radical shifts to
does.
certain places where you get to the point where it's like, oh, sentient alien clothing is plotting to take over all humanity. But the starting point is quite sound, and there's a very interesting reason why that is. So you might have noticed that in the very first episode, they start off talking about, you know, good old Hitler and what was happening in the lead up to the Second World War.
I actually don't remember that.
I do, and it's only because I know this one fun fact. The entire premise of this show came about because the director realized that the words in Japanese for fascism and fashion sound almost identical. Fascio. Fashion. Oh, I'm speaking French. Fashion. And also, the words for school uniform and conquest are apparently the same.
They are. Safe this.
So those two ideas were the seed that spawned Kill la Kill. in its entirety.
So wordplay, a dad joke. That makes me appreciate that even more.
Pretty neat though. Yeah, me too.
That's why there's such a focus on like clothing and the pride of the uniform, and it works especially well with Japanese school uniforms because they're based on military uniforms. It connects to that military history, and eventually in the series those very uniforms take over people and they threaten the world. And
Okay, I did not get up to that.
no, you're probably not going to, which is why I'm saying it. But
And it's also basically like she, like as the main character, she has a rival, right? Who also obviously at the end, or not obviously, but who at the end becomes her ally and her friend. And it even turns, they're even related, right? Aren't they
more
like
than
sisters even?
yeah, they're sisters.
Exactly. So Yoko
And the main
what's her
villain
name?
is their mother.
Satsuki? Was that it?
What?
Satsuki, yeah. So you probably haven't seen much of Satsuki aside from her just standing like that.
And being strict. But basically it turns out that even though she is portrayed as the main villain, she kind of like tried to antagonize her mother from the inside.
No, she's a secondary protagonist, absolutely.
Yeah, but it takes a while to get to the point where she actually turns out to be a good guy.
I mean, I had noticed that they had started hinting at it because every flashback that we see of her at a younger age, before she has started this dictatorship at the school, portrays as some sort of like people's hero. So I did see that they were trying to redeem her somewhat, but this has turned much wilder than I originally anticipated.
It gets pretty wild. It's interesting how they can take such a large-scale story and also isolate it to this family drama. It's really well done. I love Kill la Kill.
Do you want to elaborate a little bit on the self-aware? I think you hinted at it earlier, Liam, with the Sailor Moon stuff. Do you want to like elaborate a little bit on the self-awareness factor of this show? Because we had a very interesting episode last time where we talked about Made in Abyss or Made in Abyss and kind of like the lowly problem in anime overall. And I remember you distinctly saying that like, because we picked this topic because we talked about this is a show that gets it right.
Yeah, so at the risk of sounding like a hypocrite, because when we did what was the name of it? I keep calling it Clitoris Recoil now. What was it actually called?
Licorice Recoil.
Licorice Recoil, right.
Did we make a Made in Abyss episode?
I don't think we have, no.
No.
Right.
So you've clearly made that episode in your head. I hope it was good.
Manu had a 1 hour talk to himself.
So I think the reason why I mistook that right now with our last episode is because I started watching Made in Abyss like the other week due to many people telling me I should finally watch it because it's such a masterpiece, and I also had the chance to meet the person who created the music and everything, and the music is great, but like I clearly, again, like as we talked about in that episode, like Licorice Recoil, like now that you mention it back to me in the last episode, I can kind of see like the lowly kind of thing, but it's nothing, like it went past me. It is nothing compared to Made in Abyss, where I feel like that's just straight out super problematic because it's like these 10-year-olds that are constantly naked and talking about. I've like actually read into it, and some people like are defending it. Or maybe we should make an episode about Made in Abyss. I don't know, but basically I read into it, and like some people are like, oh yeah, it's not supposed to be sexual. It's just like, realistic young kids learning about their sexuality. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to show it all the time. Also, like I read that there's some, and I would have to research it, but I've heard that the author collects like elementary school like he has like some weird collections of like, he's clearly in like kind of into that sort of stuff. Let me fact check that, but
let's just say that's not uncommon for manga authors.
Have you seen Made in Abyss, either of you?
No.
I didn't realize that was not uncommon. I mean, I know of Kenshin.
It's very dark also.
That's probably why I haven't seen it, because I've been told that, and I'm not always in the mood for dark stuff.
I just want to quickly say that the first search result for Made in Abyss author controversy is, so the author of this story is a pedophile, right? It's the line of the thread. Holy shit.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like a hypocrite, because when it came to Licorice Recoil, I was pretty against the sexualization of school students, and to be clear, that's still where I stand. Which is why Kill la Kill is so interesting, because it does effectively the exact same thing. The bodies definitely look a lot older, with I think one exception, one of the Elite Four, but effectively, they're still, like 16 years old or something. Perhaps even younger. No, definitely not younger. They're in, like, the secondary school, right?
Seemed to be secondary school. I didn't actually check what age they're supposed to be.
No, they're definitely older, I'm pretty sure.
They do definitely seem older. It's a fictional high school, and so there is that.
The reason why I think Kill la Kill nails that is because it goes so far that at times it's more of a parody. It doesn't take the sexualization seriously. What it's doing, at least in my eyes, is going, here's a trope that happens in all of the animes, and here's us taking it to 100 and showcasing how ridiculous it is. Like, did you get up to the fight with Gamagori?
Yeah, that's the last episode that I watched.
Yeah, so his special suit power is basically becoming a BDSM gimp. He has a ball gag in his mouth at all times. So how it works is if you hurt him, that makes him more powerful. So at first Ryuko just refuses to hit him. And then he's like, you fool! If you won't discipline me, I will discipline me. And he creates clothing tentacles and starts whacking himself. And he's very, very big on discipline. He's a high school student. He's massive. There's also a particular scene where I think Ryuko's being slapped around. And they have this hilarious loop where it goes like, head, stomach, butt, and then just butt, and she just gets like repeatedly spanked. Nothing about Kill la Kill feels like it's trying to be sexy. It feels like it's trying to use sex in a humorous way. I should say, yeah, those tropes in a humorous way.
And I feel like the reason it works is because it kind of uses, as you mentioned earlier, it uses like, because everyone recognizes these scenes from like previous anime, only that it's like super over the top exaggerated, basically. Literally what you just did, where like some anime tried to sneak in like the butt slap or something here or there. It's just like blatantly like, let's do it six times.
Kill la Kill don't sneak it in. They did this multiple times in that fight. There is a shot where like Ryuko's butt is like taking up 2/3 of the screen and it's just being repeatedly slapped by one of Gamagori's clothing tentacles.
I mean, it's even the simple fact that in a lot of animes, a lot of the girls you'll see, especially like after time skips or as they get older, their outfits become skimpier and skimpier. Whereas here, the whole objective of the series is like, I am going to embrace being almost nude. And this is what's going to give me my strength.
That's the thing as well. I think it's very clever with how it handles the need to be naked, what with the sentient clothing and everything, because the main faction in this world that is standing against the clothing takeover is, you know, a group of nudists, because they essentially have to be. The organization known as Nudist Beach. Two of my favorite characters. I love those guys so much. It's really difficult because there are times where, out of context, I do think Kill la Kill could seem outright pornographic in some of the things it does. Out of context. With that context, I think it strikes that balance perfectly. It's not the kind of show I'd want to be watching and just have my mother walk in on for a scene or something.
Sitting next to you, yeah.
I knew he was watching hentai.
And again, it's because at first, like now it makes more sense also name-wise, I feel. Like it already made sense before that, where it's kind of like you have the dictatorship of clothing. But I feel like with the context you gave, with like the kind of like Hitler, like fascism / conquest synonyms, it makes even more sense that they're called Nudist Beach, because again, like the clothes are a sign of dictatorship and fascism. So the group that is fighting fascism, they're nude.
And so freedom is represented by nudity, yeah.
I will say that those aren't the reasons why I didn't continue watching the show, because I completely agree with that. And I wouldn't say that I was turned off by all the nudity, and I completely saw the humor in it. And there were like lots of parts about the show that I did really appreciate, like, you know, the idea that obviously, you know, Japanese school uniforms are based or have ties to military uniforms, but there's also the idea that, you know, in, I guess, modern day society, uniforms supposed to have the role of making sure that everyone's equal, so that, you know, you don't have to be self-conscious about what you wear to school.
Yes.
But then here it has like the opposite effect, where your uniform is a clear sign of what your ranks are and what your social status is.
And you're aspiring to fit that exact mold that is like, yeah, the top of society.
And then just how overdone, you know, how much it permeates into your own lives just outside of school. You might literally live in the slums to like living a pretty like decent, you know, good life with just 1 star.
That Fight Club story pretty much shows you all of that. In the course of 20 minutes, Marco's family goes from slum living to completely upper class living,
and back down.
And then back to slum.
And I will say, I feel like it's exactly the fact that the comedy hits its mark pretty nicely, at least if that's your type of comedy. But it's exactly what you said, where like the show walks a dangerous path, but it kind of sticks the landing. I feel like just because the humor is so on point, and I feel like it really tries to make the show really tries to make a point, being like, hey, don't take this seriously.
But also take certain things seriously.
Exactly,
like the humor
exactly.
doesn't generally detract from the moments that it
does not.
It
does not. And I think that the magic is kind of taking a main character who is an outsider to this very quirky, weird world that is controlled by these like fashion aliens, by the clothing aliens. And she comes in as an outsider, and she's very aware that nothing of the stuff that's going on here, and everyone seems to just accept that none of that is normal and makes sense, including her own powers, of course, which she also like doesn't like. She's very self-aware that that's just not normal. So, which I feel like makes it work. To go back to like the Made in Abyss thing. So after doing a bit of research, it's kind of a classic case of you have the people, you have like three factions. You have the people who are like, yeah, the guy's just a pedophile, and the show like it's just straight out like his fetish that he puts in there. Then there's the people who kind of agree with that, but they're like, yeah, but we can look past it because the show is like so good in every other aspect. And then there's the people who are very apologetic, and they're like, oh no, it's just like that's just because you interpret it in a sexual way, and you just so I don't know. I personally watching it, I can see like from the story and from the world. I think the world is very unique, and I think I can see it. I've only watched like up to like the start of it's like the first season, then there's a movie. So I watched the start of the movie, and then I kind of like stopped at some point because it's such a weird story. Like the world is so cool they create, but it's so strange having these like 10, 12-year-old protagonists, because it's, first of all, you have all that like sexual stuff going on, and then also it's so brutal and gruesome. It's just like, it gets really dark. So I did not vibe with it. I can maybe see why some people like really like the uniqueness and complexity of the world, but I feel like the stuff that's happening and the context it's happening is just like kind of not for me, and I feel like kind of inappropriate. I mean, I know like there will be people in the comments probably disagreeing with that who really love Made in Abyss. So it was not for me. I gave it a try.
Fair enough.
That's all you can do. Going back to why I didn't continue with Kill la Kill, saying everything that I did, I think it does go back to the story development, because what you guys have told me is on one hand interesting, but on another hand just
not interesting.
So wild. No, it's not that it's not interesting. It's just so wild, and it's so out there, and it's just a bit like when things go from like 0 to 100, it really depends, I think, on its delivery, whether I will stick with it or not. It's sort of like what was it? Was it God of High School? Do you guys remember God of High School, which was that manhwa that was really popular a few years back?
And it was such garbage. In the anime, that is.
Was that where the characters were all like blushing really weirdly? Or like they weren't blushing, they had like the really weird like red nose.
Yeah, where they had,
they all looked like they were sick, basically.
Yeah, they all had a cold.
Flushed. Yeah, I think that's a stylistic choice to make them all look very cute.
Yeah, a stupid one.
No, the stupid choices were all made with the story.
I will say though, Sophie, like I kind of understand, because with Kill la Kill there was definitely a point where I was kind of on the verge of like stopping, and I decided to keep watching a little bit, and then it really like captured me. But I can kind of see why there would be a point where you might drop it. Though I will say I don't understand the point where you dropped it, because at that point it had already captured me. I had like more of a problem.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, my problem was more like
when I was
the first like 5-6 episodes where I was like, not sure this is like not serious
where
enough
it was
for
kind
me.
of doing the slice of life build up stuff.
See, I prefer the slice of life build up, because it's like, I don't mind watching something if I understand what I'm watching it for. And so for the first 4 or 5 episodes, when they were doing the stupid like slice of life stuff, I thought, okay, this must be a slice of life with all of these other elements thrown in, and I can vibe with the slice of life. But then when it started getting a little bit more with this storyline with her father, but then it's sort of like, it seemed like to me like you are taking the most roundabout route to find out what happened to your father. I'm sure there are other ways you can go about this instead of sticking with the school's system and, you know, trying to stick within the rules of the school. Like, do something.
It's interesting because you stopped watching just before probably the major revelation in regards to that.
Yeah, maybe so, but I don't know. With what you guys have told me, I don't know how to feel about the fact that that there are aliens and that, I don't know, that, I mean,
It's a lot to take in at once. Can I just say, it doesn't go from 0 to 100. Personally, I think Kill la Kill starts at 100 and then amps its way up to like 200. Like, what we're telling you is stuff that you find out or stuff that you would know by the end of the series. It doesn't dump all of that on you. It very effectively slow burns you into believing that yes, clothes are alive, yes, they are aliens, and yes, they would like to take over the galaxy. And that's fine. I believe it. I buy it.
yeah, I don't know, because from what you guys have told me, now knowing that that is what the premise is about, I can totally see it. Because, you know, the idea that that's the whole reason why Nudist Beach exists, right? That's why they're so against these clothing and these uniforms.
Although, they often get accused of just doing it because they want to.
Oh, because they're pervs? Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Which, I mean, fair
fair
enough. Definitely probably plays a role.
But then again, if you're really just hardcore on the fan of, I want to keep on these skimpy outfits, and I think we could equally say that you're probably just a perv too.
It's also a bit of a coming of age story. This actually is interesting. Have either of you seen Gurren Lagann? I feel like neither of you have.
No.
Okay. That's very fascinating because Kill la Kill was made by Studio Trigger. Studio Trigger was founded by the director of Gurren Lagann, and this is very much a spiritual sequel to that. Gurren Lagann was this similarly absurd anime about, I think the way the director described it was about a man's growth and maturation, and Kill la Kill was meant to invert that. It was about a young woman growing up in an oppressive world, essentially. So there is that also coming of age stuff that I think keeps things quite grounded in this bizarre world.
I see that less because I didn't see her develop all that much, to be honest. And granted, I only probably watched about, I don't know, 6 episodes or whatever that is. It must be more than 6 episodes.
No, you got
but
quite far. You got up to like 9 or 10, you must have.
yeah, something like that. And I think that's what it comes down to. So a lot of the times, the reason why I will watch a series is for character development and story development. Those were 2 things that I really did not think that I was getting from this show at all. And so I thought, okay, maybe I wouldn't mind watching it as sort of like, if it was on, I would watch it just for the funny, ridiculous things that are happening on screen and just appreciate it for that. But to watch it on like a consistent basis and trying to watch one episode right after another and try to sort of binge it, in that sense, it just didn't grip me like that.
Fair enough. I don't know how to handle that opinion.
Too much boob jiggling. Juggling, sorry.
I mean, and that's another thing. The boobs juggling also didn't continue all the way throughout. I think they only did that sort of in the beginning episodes to maybe really hook everyone.
It continues.
And then the clothing transformation was no more boobs juggling after that.
Lots of stuff continues. I mean, by the end of the very last fight, literally everyone is naked except, I think, for Ryuko. Like, everyone else is completely nude because she, like, absorbs the clothes of everyone to become, like, a super clothing.
I do have to disclose, it's been like at least like 5-6 years since I've seen this show.
One of the things that really kept me hooked with Kill la Kill, I think, was definitely the music. There are very few series I've seen that I can feel the score so vividly, that I can recall the songs without having seen the show in years and years and years. Music really kept me hooked, as did the general aesthetics. I really enjoy that sort of wackiness.
Great voice acting also.
Phenomenal voice acting. Everyone was fantastic.
I would agree with that. and for all of that, still did not hook me. So maybe there's something wrong with me.
Probably. But that's not related to the anime and to
Actually, I was thinking about this while I was in the bathroom during the break. Most of my best thoughts come into the bathroom. What I would describe Kill la Kill as, and why it doesn't really feel sexual given the incredibly huge tsunami of sexual overtones in it. It's kind of like watching a parody of porn. Like, they're doing all of the things you would do in, say, a hentai, but they're doing it in a humorous way.
I think that's a fair way. And obviously they do not actually go all the way.
Oh yeah, and no one has sex, ever.
And I don't think anyone is like actually like nude where like you would see anything.
I think, yeah, you misremember the final episode.
I mean, even in the transformations, it's very close to nude.
You don't see nipples, but you see close to everything else.
Yeah, that's what I'd say too.
In the very final episode, when I say everyone's naked, I mean it. And they're not masked by, like, you know, those Black Clover sort of nipple whiteouts that they do. The nipples just aren't there. Everyone is still naked.
It's really the best of both worlds. You get to watch hentai while saying this isn't hentai.
I would also say another reason why I think it works is because it doesn't hyper-focus on the female nudity. There is an equal, if not greater amount of male nudity that occurs.
But that must be towards the end of the series, right?
Very first episode, you see the boxing guy's ass.
Yes, that is true, but I think there's a difference between just showing nudity and the sexualization of it.
Oh, what about the nudist beach guy whose clothes are always like dripping off him and his nipples are lighting up?
Yes, I will say that. I will agree that it's much better than a lot of other series where the balance between female and male nudity or sexualization is more balanced, but I will say that it still does heavily focus on the female more. Like there is clapping going on when the head girl switches into her outfit.
I remember when the show came out in when was it, 2012 or something?
2012, 2013, somewhere around there.
I think when it came out, because I watched it back then when it first came out, I think, and I remember there was a bit of a debate whether this was again what you say, whether it was empowering or whether it was kind of like the classic sexist, kind of more self-aware kind of sexual thing. It kind of obviously depends on your probably the artist had his own intention, and I feel like it's possible to interpret this how you want to a certain degree.
Like the pedophile show.
Well, I feel like that one is in my opinion, way harder to argue for. But in this case, I feel like there's way easier to you can argue it's kind of sex positive for kind of self-empowered, strong female leads.
It's definitely body positive. The one thing about Kill la Kill, there is no body shaming for all of the weird, crazy
you cannot say that
see.
there is.
But it's, there's no body shaming because a lot of them, fall into bodies that are
sort of. I mean,
I guess by standards, considered beautiful.
When you see Marco's dad naked, there's
yeah, I was about to say, no,
definitely
definitely not everyone. And I feel like he's nude a lot there too in that show.
He's nude quite a bit, but no one is ever put some clothes on, you fat fuck. He's just yeah, I'm the same as everyone else.
His wife is not why are you perving on this 16-year-old child taking a bath that we're trying to show some hospitality to?
Yeah.
But I will say that his job as the backdoor doctor, I found that quite hilarious.
Backdoor doctor. That's porn. Yeah. The back alley doctor.
The backdoor doctor.
Yeah, I think Marco once described his job as my dad steals blood from the hospital.
The outdoor, what is it, the outback doctor? Is that the Australian?
Outback doctor? That's got to be a certain film that's been made.
Let me check out your outback there.
G'day.
Got a nice bush there, mate. G'day, mate. Nice bush you got there, all right?
I have to say, Mana, your Australian accent has really improved.
Thanks to you guys. I'm working on it.
All of those film roles that you've been starring in. You're looking at the Outback Doctor, the titular Outback Doctor.
All right, working on it.
So, Sophie, with this experience of Kill la Kill, would you watch anything else by the same people who made it? Because they have made a couple of other relatively big titles.
I would if there was more development. Again, I think what it comes down to is the fact that this is obviously a relatively old series, or relatively new, depending on how you look at it. But still, it was created about 10 years ago, right?
It's over a decade old.
Yeah, and the world of anime has changed so, significantly then, that I think a lot of series gets to the meat of, I guess, the interesting, storylines and the mystery a lot faster to hook people in. And I think maybe if they had done that with this series as well, then I'd be more inclined to follow. But because it was, created about 10 years ago, where they did have that slow burn, and that's why I just really couldn't break through.
I think you should try Gurren Lagann, which I will say is even older, but
okay,
front loads the character stuff a lot more.
Okay.
Very similar style, very similar vibe.
Front load, exactly the right verb you used there. Perfect.
Dumps a big steaming load on you. ASAP.
I am intrigued already.
Intrigued. We decided to give little previews of the next episode, so you guys could watch the episodes with us, which now in retrospect makes way more sense. I don't know, that was stupid of us that we did not do that right from the start. That way we don't have to give you the summary each episode.
If you're a true weeb, you'll have seen everything anyway.
You have watched all the anime.
Unless you're a filthy casual.
You're saying you're an anime fan? Well, name them all.
Name every anime now.
But yeah, we wanted to next week go into a anime called Mashal, which, to give you like a bit of a synopsis, I personally thought, I think that you two haven't seen it yet. I've been like catching up. I'm caught up with it. I absolutely love it. I'm like obsessed. It's like my favorite anime this season at the moment. People described it to me as like the Harry Potter anime, which to me kind of, I thought it was just a negative connotation where people meant like, oh, it's an anime about wizards that kind of like, the guy just copied Harry Potter basically. But no, it's like very self-aware. It is like Hogwarts, but called a bit different. Like the professors look the same, called a little bit different. You have like, you know, everything. It's just basically, what if One Punch Man? What if you took a guy who works out a lot and put him into like Harry Potter? Yeah, like I personally think it's hilarious. I personally thought it was by the same author as One Punch Man and Mob Psycho, but apparently not. It has that vibe though. Hajime Komoto. Oh, he's the guy from Kaiju number 8. But yeah, it's
But I do see what you mean with the aesthetic of the main character in particular. You could believe that it is a Saitama-esque.
he looks like he could be from, and like the entire vibe of the show is exactly, it has that Mob One Punch Man vibe. It's exactly that. So strongly recommended. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Can't wait to hear what you guys think.
Premise sounds very Black Clovery, like World of Magic from the perspective of someone who can't use magic.
No, it's literally not nothing like it. You'll see it. You'll see when you see it. But I've been like really been enjoying it. Also, do we have new members and stuff, dear Sophie?
All right, so we do have new members. Everyone say a big thank you to... Sorry.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, sorry.
Thank you, sorry. You're welcome. I love you. Everyone say a big thank you to Gabriel Holtschlang, which I think I have grossly
Could you spell that?
mispronounced your surname. Holtschlag. All right.
Holtschlag.
Manu, then it's your job to Holtschlag.
Maybe it's not German. Wait, what? Holtschlag.
Holtschlag. Gabriel Holtschlag.
Yeah, maybe.
I will also say that because I am sick, my vision is even worse than it usually is when I'm not wearing glasses. So I may have misspelt seeing that too. And if so, my apologies.
It's actually Jeremy, like Jeremy Smith.
This is Sophie's spelling without glasses.
Yo, what the fuck? Oh, I was about to. I thought Sophie sent that. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, you're clearly supposed to be in the hospital. Oh, Gabriel Holtschlag. Good name.
Yes,
thank you very much,
Gabriel.
Thank you.
Also, I'm gonna say the next one, which is Eunmi, because it's written in Korean. So thank you, Eunmi.
Thank you, Eunmi. Was it samnida?
Yeah, 감사합니다.
Kamsa. That's what I said.
All right. I'll pay that. Something else, which is not anime related at all, but a series that I fell in love with and I think deserves talking about. Did you guys watch Beef on Netflix?
Beef? Oh, I've heard about it, but I've not seen it. Is that the Asian American drama thing?
Yes. Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong star in a Netflix drama called Beef, created by A24, which is also the same company behind Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And all of the other artsy movies.
Yeah, all of the other artsy movies. And I have to say that they are killing it recently. You know how we've discussed before how we'd like to see, I guess, people of color getting roles that are meaningful and told in a way that's believable as opposed to just being like stereotypes or being like just tacky, I guess, caricatures. I have to say that this company has done a really good job in doing that in both Everything Everywhere All at Once and Beef. And I'm sure like other forms of media that I just haven't seen yet, but would highly recommend. Beef also has it's also another series that I would say goes from sort of 0 to 100, but in a very
that thing you don't like.
Entertaining, and yes, that thing I don't like, but in a believable and in a way that I can completely get on board with.
Alien clothing isn't believable. There's no
What makes it
pleasing
so
Well,
you.
there are no aliens. I will say that there are no aliens in Beef.
Well, spoilers. I didn't
No,
want to
no,
know
it's-
what wasn't in the film. Sophie.
Spoilers? Well, how was I supposed to know?
Well, if there are no aliens, I don't want to watch anymore.
I'm not going to watch it now. Now that I know what's not in it, that's practically giving everything away.
I would say that it's a dark comedy.
Dark comedy, because there's a lot of like, I know
like
like
dark
there's a few
comedies.
comedians who play like side characters and stuff too.
Yeah, I'd say that it's a dark comedy, but it's really a drama, but like a dark comedy drama. Also, probably one of the best representations of like high functioning depression I've ever seen in media. Yeah, really, really good show.
A near accident in a parking lot turns two strangers into enemies. The tit-for-tat relationship that develops leads to escalating acts of revenge, as Amy and Danny learn about each other's identities and families and become more and more involved in each other's lives.
Oh, they're definitely gonna hook up, aren't they?
They're either gonna fuck or they're gonna kill themselves.
Yeah,
One or the other.
or both.
Or will they be invaded by aliens?
Or is it aliens after all?
It's only 10 episodes. It seems like an interesting enough premise.
Yeah, an easy watch. And if I remember correctly, I think the episodes are only around like 30 minutes. They're not like the 1 hour episodes, which can get quite daunting, I think, even if it's only a 10 episode series.
It's shorter than Licorice Recoil.
Yeah, shorter than Licorice Recoil. I would say much, much, much less lolly.
Less?
Little bit
Not
of
completely
sex, but
lolly-free.
you know. No, I'd say completely.
Completely lolly-free. Does it get like a sticker on the poster?
Yeah, so is that a turn off or a turn on?
Like a gluten-free sort of
Wasn't
thing?
wasn't that Netflix also like a while ago where they released this really weird Brazilian or French? Like these like girls pole dancing thing that was like super controversial.
Cuties? The film that Sneeko says is his favorite film of all time. That one?
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
said?
That's how I learned about
Yeah.
it from the entire.
In French,
like-
it's called mignon, which means cute. Cutes, plural. I only know of it. I've never seen it. I have no desire to see it. Yeah.
Is it even on Netflix still? I feel like again I
Was
heard
it
about
cancelled?
it from when I was with the entire what's the streamer's name?
Sneeko.
Sneeko, with the Moist Critical drama thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Sneeko has come out publicly on many, many occasions defending it and saying that it's his favorite film of all time.
Oh, what a yes, I remember that. What a weird. That is such a weird statement on so many levels.
I mean, it's the epitome of contrarian culture. It's how do I say the thing that'll get the most shock value.
maybe.
You know what? That pedophile film, I'm on board. That's my favorite, actually, and here's why. Made in Abyss, amazing as well.
Schindler's List, my feel-good movie. It's like when I feel
Schindler's
sad,
List, my favorite comedy. Yeah.
I go watch Schindler's List to feel better.
So now I'm just thinking about Sneeko. And
I haven't even heard of
Your
you.
favorite creator.
I think it's simmered down now, but there was big drama with him before and his like cuckold escapades and everything.
Didn't you see? I feel like you must have seen it because that went super viral. Because there was this clip of like he had, you know Moist Critical, right? And so
Yeah.
he had apparently like Moist Critical criticized him for like really liking that movie, and then he kind of
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have been like fucking
Amongst
this up. I
other
feel like it's
things.
longer the drama, but basically at some point like
It's a saga.
like
It's a whole
Sneeko
saga.
kind of like got a little bit weird on stream and like threatened to come to his house and shoot him.
He did. No, he had a gun as well on stream. He was like, look
What?
at these clips. You get these clips. It's
Yeah.
like holding
And
it to the
then there was
camera.
like this legendary like response video from Moist Critical where he just like pulls out a Glock and then like a whole like semi-automatic weapon and gives him
Yeah,
like a
because
little like lecture.
he lives in Florida, correct?
I think so, yeah. The best
Very,
of the
very
states.
gun-friendly state.
Oh, are they posting this on YouTube? Are there no
Yeah.
rules? Are there no
Charlie
rules
did.
You haven't
about
seen this?
this?
How did you miss this? This was like my entire YouTube recommended feed for like 2 days.
I don't think there are particularly strict firearm rules on YouTube because there possibly is still a whole genre of
There
videos
is.
which are just shooting guns.
There
There
are.
is.
There definitely
Oh,
are.
there absolutely
there
is
definitely are.
firearm genre.
But I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
different to that to I'm gonna make threats with my guns on YouTube.
It's not a threat. It's just, just behold.
It's a friendly warning.
I have this gun with me. Maybe don't come to my house like you said you would on stream. Tell you what, it makes the One Piece YouTuber drama look pretty pale in comparison.
Too tame. Way
And
too
childish,
tame.
One
very
Piece.
childish. We're like children whacking each other in a kindergarten. compared to what's happening here.
We gotta step it up.
I
Liam, you've
I
been
can't
too
like
quiet.
verify this because I was not involved in like anime YouTube, but I've been told who did I talk about this with? I think the Trash Taste guys. They were like, oh, like they were talking about all this like past anime community drama, and I was like not familiar with any of the names nor any of the drama, but apparently it got pretty wild like in the early years of YouTube, like 2008 to like 2014. There was a lot of anime YouTube drama apparently. I'm not sure, maybe Liam,
Really?
you know, like the elderly in this podcast.
Mate, I was not
As the boomer of this
around then.
podcast.
The boomer.
I wasn't watching
blue
anime
boomer.
YouTube back then. So you're going to have to do some research then, because I'm interested and I expect a report on my desk tomorrow morning.
But in classic Manu style, it has to be like, and then this guy said this, and then then this guy went like that, and then so 10 years later, they had a fishing business, and now salmon is sold in Japan.
Here's your restriction,
Exactly.
Manu. No nouns. Don't use any nouns.
I'm gonna speedrun storytelling with an implied handicap.
All right, so that's what you can look forward to in the next episode. We're going to discuss Marshall, and we're going to look forward to Manu's retelling,
Marshall.
titillating retelling of
anime
anime
drama.
drama. All right, see you guys next episode.
All right. Bye bye.